people really like to practice meditation. That's wonderful. And if we really want genuine Buddhist practice, then it is important to develop our motivation, the bodhicitta, and also wisdom that understand the true nature of ourselves, the understanding that true nature of all phenomena, the reality. So these two we must have developed in our life, motivation and wisdom. Because through this practice, we will diminish our negativity. So that's why important. Even though you understand the nature of the reality, the nature of all phenomena, but if you have not correct motivation, then it doesn't work from Buddhist point of view. So the most important is to develop the correct motivation, and then wisdom. We know that we will experience the result of any kind of karmic actions, but that doesn't mean that we cannot do anything to avoid the result of action that we have already sort of completed. If we practice this kind of purification, this kind of meditation, we can avoid experience the result of negative action. So Buddha said that there is not any negativity, no matter how serious or no matter how profound, that cannot be changed through the practice. So that's the good thing. I always say that there is nothing good about negative karma, but the only good thing is we can purify them through our meditation. So that's why we should try to purify them as much as possible. And all of us, the old student, a new student, and myself included, need to make us as much efforts as we can to purify our negativity, because the negativity, these things, the main obstacles to become successful or enlightenment. So that's why first we need to focus on how to purify our negative karma and negative afflictions. That's Buddhist perspective. It's very sort of important first thing, who really want to practice meditation and follow the Buddhism. So, that's in general, everyone, we have sort of these obstacles, which is the negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative, karma. This is the main obstacles. This is the main, problem and the suffering, the cause of suffering. So that's why whatever we do, whatever we practice, and we need to focus on how to purify these things. So that's in general, of course, that. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the precious human life for today. It is a Buddhist path and foundation we call the outer preliminary that can change the mind, because if you practice and sort of study about this, you can change your thoughts, your mind. So it is important to know that this precious human life is important to find, Because, without precious human life, it would not be possible to help others. That is main sort of our goal. If you become a Buddhist and to practice and diminish your negative things, and your main goal is to help others, right? That's the goal. So if you have no precious human life, it's impossible. And also it's difficult to develop, ourselves and to study the Dharma. And that's why to practice the real, the authentic Dharma practice, it is absolutely necessary to be a human being. For instance, if you have no human life, then if you tell a dog, to recite Om Mani Padme Hum, which is the Avalokiteshvaraya's mantra, one time, so that the dog can become enlightened in that moment, but the dog cannot understand what you are saying, understand what this meaning of the mantra. So that's why, without a human life, it will not be possible to even find a Dharma, That's why the precious human body is the sort of advantage of support. That's why it's very important to find this life. However, we have all been fortunate enough to be born a place where the teachings are known, and we have the capacity to understand and hear the teachings. Because if we do not have the capacity to learn in Buddha Dharma or teaching, then it is impossible to practice the Dharma. Dharma is part of our life, so it's really important. Longchenpa, the great teacher in Nyingma lineage, reminds us that being born as a human being is a very unique and real situation. It's like a blind person who accidentally find a precious jewel. It's similar. This human life, we founded a human birth, and we need to really realize how fortunate we are. Many people do not understand that how important it is and how difficult to find it is. That's why always they do sort of things like, suicide and self-immolations. Not good idea. That's why, it depends your motivation, but we need to use our life very, very meaningfully. So always we need to remember that we have found a human life, and make sure that our life will not become sort of worse and worse. It is important to know that this precious human life is very difficult to find. I will tell you why it is difficult to find. Buddhist point of view, the traditional way of explaining this difficulty is by examining three ways. The first is cause and conditions. Second is by example, and third is the numbers. So, for example, the first is the cause and conditions. And generally, the characteristic of precious human birth is 8 freedoms and 10 advantages. So not just human life, not just human life, the precious human life. Okay, the precious human life. The definition is this 18 freedoms and advantages. If you possess that, you have a precious human life. So we don't need to talk this sort of 18 things, freedoms and advantages in detail. But for instance, because many of you know these things, this is the first thing to learning about Buddhism. If you become a Buddhist, you have to learn in these things. So most of you understand, of course, these things. But for instance, if we are a blind, we would not be able to read the teachings, all that kind of things. If we are deaf, we will not be to hear the teachings. If you can't hear, then you don't know how to practice, all that things, And, being a human life, being born at time when the Buddha's teachings are still known and when the Buddha's teachings still exist, and having the capacity to understand his teachings, having the sort of confidence in the teachings, all this, and, having compassion towards, other sentient beings. For example, the 5 we call individual, 5 individual advantages, the 5 circumstantial advantages. All these things, in order to find the precious human life, not only human life, the precious human life, human birth, all these cause and conditions necessary, must need, then you have the precious human life. So most of us, we have a precious human life. So these causes, conditions, it's difficult. It's difficult, If you really go detail and, investigate all these causes and conditions, it's difficult to have, So that's why if you think about and examine the causes and conditions, the precious human life, it's not that easy. So that's why difficult. And then second is they called example of how difficult it is to find these freedoms and advantages. There is a good story that is very often used to describe this. For example, do you remember imagine in an ocean, and on the top of the ocean is flattened a wooden yoke, which travels around the ocean in many sort of different places because of the wind. Wind pushed everywhere. And also there is a blind sea turtle swimming this ocean, and this turtle only comes to the surface of the ocean once every 100 years. Understand? Now imagine how real it will be for this blind turtle to float up into the hole of this wooden yoke. The blind, one thing is the turtle is a blind. The wooden yoke is travels everywhere, not stay one place because the wind pushed it. And this blind turtle comes, only once every 100 years. Once after every 100 years. But they sometimes they met each other like that. So this real experience is actually, easy to compare to how difficult it is to find precious human birth. Understand? Think about that example. This example is almost, impossible, right? The wooden yoke and the blind stirrer, almost impossible to meet. But sometimes. But our precious human life is much, much difficult than that. I will tell you, when you understand this, another one is the numbers, the cause of condition, the numbers, then you will understand this example, how it is difficult to find the precious human life. The number of how difficult it is to find the precious human life. So when you consider the relative number of different kinds of beings, you can come to understand that to be born and human is hardly possible at all. And especially precious human life is more difficult. Because if you believe in reincarnation, as you know that there are many different kind of sentient beings in the universe that you can be born into. We believe that. Buddhism believes that. But human beings are only a small, only really small fraction of those beings. Think about all sentient beings, all kinds of sentient beings. If you believe next life, the reincarnation, then you can be born in any of these beings. For example, think about, even though like human beings, it's difficult. Think about how big this world is. Right now, there are like, people say almost we have 7 billion people on this planet, right? Of these 7 billion people, only about 500 million might be Buddhist. Maybe not. I'm not so sure. And of people who say they are Buddhist. People say, I'm Buddhist. But I think only like 10% actually are Buddhist practitioner, real Buddhist practitioner. Many people say they are Buddhist, but they do not practice and meditate. So then it's just a name. What is the point? What is you become a Buddhist? There's nothing. If you don't practice meditation, you took refuge vow and you become a Buddhist. Yes, you did. But if you don't practice, just name. What is the point? No meaning. Nothing. That's happened everywhere here and there. Lots of people interested, more and more interested in become a Buddhist. I understand that. But just to only, not practice meditation, then not good. That's not only Buddhism, all these other religions like that, How many Christianities, how many millions of millions don't practice? For what? They have a practice, right? You can practice compassion, love and kindness, generosity, patience, all these things. But even though the Christians, they don't practice, then nothing, not help, So then if you think about this, The Buddha says that the number of virtuous people who, really practice, meditate, do good things, good deeds in the world is only as big as the amount of sand that can fit in your fingernail. But think about unvirtuous people who doing very bad things. Countless as all of the sand into the oceans, like that. So you think about this number. It's so difficult to find precious human life. From Buddhist point of view, just human life and precious human life is totally different. Understand? Now you think about the example, the blind sitter and the wooden yoke. If we say, oh, precious human life, much more difficult than that to find. How many people think about in this world doing good things? Nothing, just the sand of your fingernail. Just very small number. Who doing really bad things? That's why this samsara is, we're saying, samsara is no beginningless, no end. Because, 10% may be really good, doing, good, meditate, practice, help others, very good people, right? Just only a small number. The others are doing very bad, most people. And then you died like that, and be born into some other beings like that. Human life is difficult to find. And then precious human life, of course. Precious human life, you have to possess all these, 18 freedoms and advantages. That's more difficult because of the cause and conditions, because of this, the motivation. So, if you possess all of these freedoms and advantages, then you have a precious human life. So, when we think about our precious human life, we need to recognize that we have these advantages and to make use of them as much as we can. And if other beings do not have these advantages, this precious human life, we should practice compassion towards them. So, actually, we have two choices, If we use the advantages of this life well, it will lead to liberation and freedom. If we practice the Dharma correctly, and we will find a peace and happiness, and eventually attain the liberation. Furthermore, if we practice Dharma and accomplish some sort of virtuous things, and then the latter part of this life will be happier than the earlier part. And then more, next life, if you believe, will be happier than this life. We will continually find increased amount of happiness, On the other hand, if we use our life, even though you have this precious human life, and you use badly, we will remain in samsara. And using our life badly means that we really only focus on accomplishing worldly concerns, or that our actions are only negative. Then, in the latter part of our life, we will suffer more than the earlier part. In our next life, we will suffer more than this life. It's up to us. According to Buddhist point of view, you are the boss. Nobody control you. Ranya Rangangoyin. Some people believe that, like whatever you do, good karma, bad karma, good thing or good bad things, somebody's seeing, somebody's look you and sort of, have decided, right? But Buddhism don't believe that. You do think it's up to you, right? You are the boss. I mean, there is a good quote by, Buddha said that, to see what you have done before your past. Look at what you are now. Think about that. And to see where you are going to be born next. Look at what you are doing now. Easy. I mean, it's important to, contemplate the freedoms and advantages as part of our meditation. I would like you to practice, this kind of meditation and understand the value of the precious human life. This will give you the opportunity to practice the mind training, and you will understand who you are, and you will understand how it is important to practice. Otherwise, if you don't understand the value of this precious human life, then maybe you believe the next life, but you think always you being born a human life all the time. Not necessarily. It depends on your cause and conditions. If you want to be born a human life or precious human life, then you need these causes and conditions. If you don't have these causes and conditions, your consciousness goes into next life, but goes into any forms, of being. It's possible you become a dog, you become a snake, you become a, think about this. There is the biggest, the sea, what do you call it? The fish. What is the name? Sea. Yeah, a whale. That's the biggest, right? It's. I heard that he eats 3,000 pounds every day, 3 times. He eats only meat, right? Small fish, right? The whale. Okay. So if you become born like that animal, think about. I'm sometimes afraid. If you be born like that animal, whatever you do, unvirtuous things. There's no good things, nothing, because they have no wisdom that, always harm others, right? Then almost impossible be born a human life or human birth or practice human life. So it's this life is so important.
No question.
Yeah?
It's a whale's nature to eat fish. In the whale's mind, he's not doing anything cruel. It's his nature to eat fish.
Yep.
He probably swims with humans, and he's happy, and he's compassionate.
Yep.
And all that, but he eats fish.
Yep.
Is that so bad?
Oh yes, that's bad. Because you think that's just nature. No, he did something. We believe that he did something negative, and then be born at that animal, and cause harm others. If he eats the other small animals, you think they are suffering? Sure, nobody wants suffering. If somebody harm others, that's bad karma? Sure.
Motivation. The whale doesn't have the motivation.
Oh yeah, it does. Motivation.
I'm going to hurt those krill.
I want to eat.
If he's killed by the whalers, then he might be reborn.
Okay. The most important is we understand we have capacity to learn in Buddha Dharma, right? That's, I think, unique. But human beings are not necessarily the most intelligent being. Some animals may be really intelligent, right? But the unique we have is to understand the teachings, how to practice. And also we met the teachings and the teachers. All these causes, conditions. We have this 18 freedoms and advantages. We have to think about that, those causes and conditions, to find it difficult, very difficult.
Another question then.
Yep.
It seems like for a sentient being to be born with a precious human life, you have to accumulate vast amounts of merit.
Exactly.
It seems that there's a lot of non-virtuous, bad people on the planet.
Yep.
Doesn't make sense that they accumulated all these vast amounts of merit, and here they are, mean, unvirtuous people doing bad things.
Mm-hmm.
How can those two come together like that? Like I have to accumulate all this merit, but I'm born in this life and I'm doing all these bad things.
What do you mean?
It's
No,
like, you have to be vast amounts of merit to have a precious human life. If I have a precious human life and I'm doing bad things.
that means that this person doesn't have precious human life.
Oh.
Maybe they have a human life, but not precious human life. That's why we have, that's why the 4 thoughts that change your mind, the outer preliminaries. The first, you have to meditate on precious human life, right? Because Buddha says that you need to understand how, if you have the precious human life, then how you are fortunate. You don't need to worry about your life. You have this precious human life. But you need to also be careful with that life, because you have to practice meditation or do good things. Otherwise, your life, it could be worse and worse. You lose the precious human life eventually. So now, meditate, okay? When you practice this kind of meditation, I mean, not only this, but when you meditate, the first correcting your motivation. And a good way to do this is to say, or think about yourself, to say yourself, I will meditate on this so that all sentient beings will be free from suffering and attain enlightenment. That's the good motivation. That's how you correct your motivation. And so once your motivation is established, you can do little bit practice of Guru Yoga if you are Buddhist. Because Guru Yoga is always good for your practice. And so when you practice Guru Yoga, by visualizing which enlightened being inspires you the most. Okay? Understand? This is very important. And then consider that this being represents all of the Buddhas and masters, like that. So you need to think that. You need to visualize that holy being. And for instance, if you practice on Guru Yoga on Padmasambhava, or you practice on Buddha Shakyamuni, then think him, with devotion, compassion, and imagine him sort of melting into light and dissolving into you, right? And with his mind merging completely with yours. And then rest with this feeling for a few minutes without following past thoughts. Don't make new thoughts, or don't thinking about your existing thoughts. Just to relax. This very nice. If you do this kind of practice. There are 3 different Guru Yoga practice: inner, outer Guru Yoga, which means you visualize. Just as I said you that which enlightened beings inspires you the most, right? You visualize that and then dissolving into your mind and become sort of the union of emptiness and wisdom. That is, it's kind of, outer Guru Yoga practice. And then you also inner practice Guru Yoga, just by focusing on your nature mind. It's a inner or secret Guru Yoga, practice Guru Yoga. So it's very, very helpful. That's why you need to practice Guru Yoga a little bit, before you meditate, or whatever you meditate. After that, you can start by thinking about, for instance, like this precious human life, right? This means thinking about all sentient beings and who don't have precious human life and cause harm others. So therefore, they are suffering. Give them your compassion. In this way, you can also develop your compassion. Also think about yourself and examine yourself, whether you have these freedoms and advantages or not. And think about your fortunate things, because so that you will understand the value of precious human life, makes your mind, really happy, and also give the sort of confidence, and you understand the value of precious human life, then you really don't want harm others, and you want to practice more and more. That is the main point to practice precious human life. If you really understand these 18 freedoms and advantages, 5 individual advantages, the 5 circumstantial advantages, all this you understand, then you really want practice and do something and help. You want to help others. These ideas, meditation, gives you really sort of, what do you call it, enthusiasm and confidence and interest in practice, gives you the devotion and wisdom, belief, all these things, That's the main point. Practice preliminary. This is we call the outer, the first. What is different between human life and precious human life? Understand that. What is different between human beings and animal beings? All this we have to think about it. And then you have this possess, the preciousness, and then makes you really sort of important. Means you don't want to waste your life. Every single day you want to do something good. Because you have this capacity, right? Then and easy to, understand, even though you have a difficult circumstance, but you can change because you have a capacity, you have a precious human life. So it's very important. So think about like that. First think about Guru Yoga and relax your mind in a few minutes like that, focus directly, look into your nature mind. Doesn't matter whether you understand, recognize the nature mind or not, just you find out the peace and the happiness. And after that, think about this, meditation. When you get sort of tired of analyzing all this and cannot do it any longer, then practice rest meditation, without following your thoughts and without worry, and just relax. When you meditate, another thing is very important. You need to understand that do not worry about your thoughts. Do not try to stop your thought. Okay, you can't stop your thoughts because they are already there, and you just let go. Means like don't follow, and then they will, definitely disappear if you don't follow and disappear that moment. And then all my teachers always say that do not worry. One thing, do not worry your thoughts, and do not stop your thoughts. Just let go. Just to let go everything. And we call that, if you let go your thoughts and look at directly, you see the nature mind. There is a Kardam master, student asking, meditate all the time, and he always, he's difficult, all because of the thoughts. And then he asked his teacher, and when I meditate, 1 second, I got it, my nature mind. And then arise my thoughts again. What should I do? And then the teacher say, let go and look at directly again. And then you will see it again. And then he asked, then again arise my thoughts, what should I do? That's good. Every day, like you look like this, you investigate like that, you meditate like that, maybe like 100 times you recognize the nature mind, 100 times thoughts arise, and then look at directly and 100 times nature mind, which means you see 100 times the Buddha, the Samantabhadra, the primordial Buddha. You see every day. Once, when your thoughts arise, you just don't follow, don't worry, and just look at directly and see the nature mind. That means the inner Buddha, in the sacred Buddha. Inner Buddha. So you see that 100 times every day. It's so beneficial, so you don't have to worry about it, your thoughts. Just to do that many times, rest in meditation without following your thoughts, just to relax. Do that many times. And once your thoughts arise again, start analytical meditation, So this way you alternate, practice in both analytical meditation and rest in meditation. It's very important we have only two ways to meditate, either analytical meditation or rest in meditation. So when you rest and meditate, and then it's difficult, and then analyze these things, precious human life, impermanence life, cause and karma, all these kind of things, analyze and meditate. When you find something like, you investigate your precious human life, and then you think, and then eventually sort of you sometimes you don't want anymore think about that, then just to relax. There's many times you do this alternately, then you will your meditation will better and better. So that's actually how you meditate on this precious human life. Okay? So today we'll meditate. Actually, the rest in meditation is really nice. We don't have to say the prayers of the Guru Yoga, but I would like you to meditate on this. Just to meditate whatever you believe inspires you. Whenever you think about these beings and gives you really sort of devotion or faith or inspires you, that being you should visualize, okay, in front of you. Focus on him. If you don't have that, you can visualize, Buddha or Padmasambhava or whatever. Focus on that. Don't follow your thoughts. And then few minutes focus on that. Then it dissolving into your mind. Understand? And then look directly into your mind. And focus on that. Meditate on that as much as you can, as long as you can. And then your thoughts arise, and then start visualize that being. Also, sometimes you can visualize these beings, the heart center, beautiful rays of light, and focus on that. And then sometimes you will find out the nature mind through that meditation, through that kind of visualization. Understand? Any question? No? Okay. 20 minutes. Can you? 20 minutes meditation? Yeah? You can. Most can. If you can't, just, you can take a break, very quietly, and then go back to your meditation, okay? If you can, 20 minutes, no problem. So